How are you? All right?
Yeah, not too bad. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks, mate.
First of all, can we talk about the card? So, September 30th, you've got a stacked card, English title fight main event. Can you just go through some of the people for me?
Yeah, of course I can. So the main fight, as you mentioned there, really pleased to have an English title fight on the card. That's sort of like the icing on the cake. We're delighted to have Billy Allington back out. He won his English title for us in Brentwood in February in a fantastic fight against Jamie Robinson in what is already been nominated for one of the Fight of the Year candidates. And Billy just came through that on the night. And Jamie was great also, but Billy deservedly won that title. So we've got him back out. He's fighting his mandatory. So the board put it to purse bids that the mandatory was Lucas Ballinall. Lucas Ballinall's fantastic prospect himself. I don't know too much about Lucas personally because I've never had much dealing with him until now, obviously because it's going on our show, but they're fantastic to deal with. It looks like they're going to bring an army of fans from Portsmouth. So the show's on a Friday night at York Hall, the iconic York Hall. So it's a bit of a trek for them. And I know when I was negotiating with them to try and get this fight over the line, it was a little bit like, oh, Portsmouth's quite far to travel to York Hall, but they seem to be coming in numbers, certainly from the ticket requests that they've got. And on paper, it looks like a really, really good 50-50 fight, Ash. Billy, I know Billy really well on that team. Billy was so improved on the night. I thought Billy was a great fighter anyway. I had Billy down more as a bit of a back foot stylish fighter, but he went to the trenches with Jamie, and Jamie's more known for being tough, come forward and rock hard, but he stood and traded when he needed to, and he showed more to his game than maybe I thought he had, which was credit to Jamie. So we're looking for another war on this one, hopefully, but whether it stills the show or not, it's certainly the biggest fight on the card, but we've got some other 50-50s on there as well. But yeah, great fight, that one.
Yeah, so I obviously Mikey Mckinson we've had on the podcast a few times, and it's his brother Lucas, and he said that Lucas was the more talented one. He's always said that the amount of sparring they've had together, Lucas is a top prospect, and he's struggled to get fights. So for him to get this opportunity, yeah, it's a great 50-50.
Yeah, I'd imagine. I didn't forget you're from Pompey, actually, but you're down that neck of the woods. So you've mentioned it. His brother's Michael Mickinson, who's got a massive task ahead of him and a fantastic opportunity this week or next weekend in Dallas. And Lucas is going out there. So we wish Mikey well, and hopefully he comes back with a win there. I've heard stories that they do spar each other, which is unusual for brothers. I've come across a lot of brothers and twins in the sport that wouldn't spar each other for obvious reasons, but he does spar. So getting that experience from Michael would be amazing because of the level he's at. Secondly, I've heard the odd rumour that you're saying as well. Some people have said that Lucas is more talented. So if that is the case, Billy's going to be in for a tough night. And it looks like Lucas has earned his stripes. The matchup has come for the English title because the board mandated it. So Billy had the title. They do their meeting once a month and they'll decide who warranted to have that fight. And it was Lucas, and it was just a case of sort of like getting the fight on. So we're very, very lucky and very honoured. And as I've said, you Portsmouth fans down there, you're quite tribal. I don't know whether you're a Portsmouth fan or not, but it looks like they all want to travel together and come and enjoy the night. So we'll embrace that.
Yeah, definitely. They come from a boxing family, they live and breathe it. And yeah, what an opportunity. English title. Yeah, that's huge. So you guys putting on the event as well. It's going to be a great night. Can we talk about the undercards?
Of course you can, mate, yeah. Well, I can tell you the next one that we've got that's a title fight. So we've got Conor Marsden against Martin McDonough. So that's for Conor's current Southern Area lightweight title. We had Conor out for anyone who hasn't seen it on our last show at York Hall a few weeks ago. Conor was superb on that night. The fight before that, Conor fought one of the leading prospects in the country in Adam Azim. A lot of people are touting Adam Azim to go the whole way. He's on Boxer and Sky Sports. He's got the platform. I know Adam Azim and his team well, and I believe that the hype around Adam Azim is spot on. He will be a multi-weight world champion and win many belts, and I have no doubts on that. But he went in and fought a tough opponent in Conor Marsden, who was a Southern Area title. The belt wasn't on the line on the night, but I think he knocked him out in about 15, 20 seconds. So to go and do that to someone like Conor would show the level that Adam's at. I was interested to see how Conor would bounce back from that on the last show, because obviously that's a loss is always tough to take for a fighter, but in that manner. But I'll be honest with you, he blew me away with his performance, Conor. He was punch perfect. He used his height. He used his range. He outboxed Mickey O'Rourke. And Mickey O'Rourke came for a good scrap. And, he's a great fighter himself. But I think maybe on the night, no disrespect to Mickey, but he showed his levels there. And Conor really, really top draw at Southern area level. I think if he wins this, he'll then be banging on the door for an English title himself at lightweight. Martin McDonough, met him last week for the first time. I went down and delivered his tickets. He's down in Kent in Sittingbourne. Very quiet lad to talk to. Not sure he likes the camera as much as some of the fighters or myself maybe like this, but definitely looks very, very good on paper. Had a couple of defeats, so not undefeated, but I think he's going to bring a lot there, and that is another 50-50 fight on the night. Conor's got to be the favourite. He's got the belt, especially after that last performance, but it'll be interesting to see what Martin brings. And I know they've worked hard, just like we mentioned about Lucas. You work really hard, the fighters, to get to that level in their first title fight. So again, we think he's going to bring a lot of fans from down there in Kent, and we expect him to put on a really good show. So another 50-50, can't really pick it, but probably have Conor as a slight favourite.
Yeah, I think so. I know Martin. I grew up in Maidstone, and I've known Martin for many years, and he was obviously a national champion. He's come short in some title fights already, but his style, he's put on so much size. He's done the right strength conditioning that I think we are going to see a very good Martin McDonough turn up. So yeah, I think that could be. I'm going to ask you later about your predictions, but that to me could be fight of the night. Those two, because that is brilliant. The talent that you've got, that could be an English title fight, them two. That's how good they are. So I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, we're really honoured to get 3 or 4, which we'll come on to, 50-50 fights on the card. I've worked really hard to get that with Lee, and Lee's doing the shows with us as well. And we're trying to really get, rather than just a load of top prospects, which is great, sometimes getting some of these 50-50 fights on just makes the card even stronger. And I don't disagree. It could be the fight tonight. I do think that team, Billy Rumble, great trainer, great gym, and you're right. Because it's a title fight, I can feel that they feel it's their time. This is the big one for Martin. So watch this space.
12 50-50 fights we got.
So we got one more guaranteed. Excuse me, Ash. That's over the line. We've got Jordan Perkis against Ryan Walker, and that will be at super flyweight. The Ryan Walker won last time out at our York Hall show. There's an argument that Ryan stole the show on a really good card because he got the only stoppage and it was in dramatic fashion. He's only been defeated twice himself. Normally campaigns around about bantamweight level. The two people who have beat him are Paul Butler and Lee McGregor, who I'm sure you'd agree are exceptional talents and elite fighters at British level at that weight. So to lose to them is no shame. He hadn't fought for 2.5 years, Ryan. He's joined a new camp. He's gone over to Rod Julian and Rod Pierce in RJ's gym in Chigwell. And that move seems to have worked for him. And he came through that fight fantastically. So now we wanted to step up. And then fair play to Jordan Perkins and his team, Will Young Will Jones in the Edge gym. He's 4-0, Jordan. So I was like, wow, he's taken that. A lot of these young lads, they sort of like want a padded record, 5, 6, 8, 10, 12, which is fine because you're learning on the job. So when you get a fighter say after 4 fights, I'll take that on paper, you probably say Ryan is the favourite. He's certainly more experienced. He's naturally bigger. And he probably punches a bit harder. I'm sure Jordan would argue with me on that one, but I would say he does. Jordan is a strong fighter, and from what we've seen already in the pro game, he'll definitely come forward and have a go. I think maybe on the night, I think you might see Jordan's boxing skills a bit more because he'll need to rely on that, because I'm not sure if I was Will Jones, I'd tell him to stand there and trade, and I don't think they will because he's naturally the smaller man. Are his boxing skills better than Ryan? Maybe. Ryan might argue that his boxing skills are better. I have to sit on the fence a bit. They're both sort of like home fighters. We've got to look after them. But I do think you could see a very impressive performance from Jordan off the back foot if that's what's needed. But equally, another 50-50 fight. I just can't pick it. Styles make fights, and that's probably a perfect one for me. One coming forward, one might be a bit slicker, and we'll see who comes out on the night.
And how many rounds is that?
That'll be an 8-rounder.
8-rounder. Brilliant. And so more undercards. Is there any up-and-coming prospects we need to look out for leading up to this?
Yeah, we got a full undercard there of talent, which is fantastic. A who's who I think are going to move on and be top English, British champions, maybe even further. We've got Mace Ruig on there. We're trying to get him over the line for another 50-50 fight, possibly a title fight. It's not always easy to get them made, but we're trying to do it. Mace possibly, in my opinion, no offence to Redevin, did steal the show on the last York Hall one. He had an 8-rounder in there against Berman Sanchez, who had a winning record. Some people might say he's a journeyman, but no easy feat. And he won every round. He was fantastic in there. He's got this very awkward style, Mace, where I think he frustrates fighters and he confuses them. He can come forward and have a trade and a bang if he wants, but he can equally move around and just really confuse fighters. And it'll be very interesting if we can get him in one of these 50-50s. It's hard to match him because a lot of people are avoiding him. Speaking to his manager last night, Tom Stalker's his manager. On one hand, it's a backhanded compliment because no one wants to fight him, which tells you the level he's at. But on another hand, when you're trying to get 50-50 fights, it's not good because no one will take it. So watch this space on that one. But even if we can't get a 50-50 fight, Mace will be on there and he'll be fantastic and explosive again. We've then got Alfie Winter's back out. Alfie Winter, we've had him twice before, including his debut. He fights out at the Matchroom gym, as you're probably aware. So, firstly, I think he is one of the best talents around at the moment. You can't be in a better gym for sparring and training. Every day he's sparring the likes of Felix Cash, Connor Ben, Joe Cordina, John Ryder, just to name a few. I'm not sure they reach him up as high as Spider Richards because he's a light heavy, but these are the kind of people that he's going in and learning his trade from. And again, I don't think anyone would question that you're not going to learn from that. He's very, very, very marketable. He's a good looking lad. He sells a lot of tickets. He brings a lot of support. And he conducts himself really professional. So we're really chuffed to have him back on. I think he's up to 4-0 now. So he'll be looking for his 5th. We've got loads more on there. We've got Tommy Murphy's back out. We had his debut on the last one. Tommy Murphy has a good affiliation with QPR. The ticket request they requested on the last one was mind-blowing. And I thought, yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. They sold it. And for anyone who was in the venue, all you could hear all night was QPR fans lifting the roof off. So we're delighted to have them back again for obvious reasons. But another fantastic talent, Tommy. So we're really expecting good things from him. And we're delighted that they've taken the opportunity to take their second fight back on our show at York Hall. Really pleased to have 2 of our people that we had out from Brentwood in February. Neither have fought since. So we've got Bradley Haxel on there, massive talent down there at Super Feather. I think he's at now. He's 6 or 7-0. He'll be back out, and he's already told me there's no way that Tommy Murphy will have more fans in there, and his fans will sing louder. And that's a good argument for anyone who's at Brentwood. They kind of proved that. So that'll be really, really lively there. And then we got Lenny Fuller. Gypsy Warrior, as he calls himself. He's superb, Lenny, very experienced, been out since February on our last show. He will bring a lot of people. Again, you probably know him. He's down from Maidstone area as well, a bit like Bradley. So lots of big ticket sellers on there, but also big talent. I'm trying to think, I haven't got it in front of me. We've got Dean Gardner, don't know much about him. He's out of the same stable as Tommy Murphy. He had his debut recently, so we're really excited to have him. We've got Lucian Atana. Lucian Atana is a heavyweight. He's 5-0 with 5 knockouts. He's about 6'9" and the same size as Tyson Fury, and he's got a thick stock, a bit like Anthony Joshua. Romanian gentleman. My understanding is, I've never had him on there, but he brings a lot of Romanian fans as well. He is, if I'm saying it's difficult to match Mace, it's impossible to match Lucian, because for anyone who's watching who doesn't know, if a fighter gets stopped or knocked out, they can't fight for 28 days. And a lot of the journeymen, that's their living, right, every weekend. So trying to find someone who you've got to pay a hell of a lot of money to get that fight over the line, but we might need to do that. And also, it's not just that you might not fight for 28 days. He looks that heavy-handed. They might not fight for a bit longer. So I hope none of the heavyweight prospects out there are watching this, because they might say no when we're reaching out. But yeah, we're very excited to have him. It's always exciting to have a heavyweight. And, a lot of casual fans like to see big heavyweights punching each other, and possibly more chance of a knockout there. Liam Wells back with us again. He was in Brentwood, good ticket seller, lovely lad, very experienced. Last time out, he got stopped by Jack Martin on that Brentwood show, and that was a 50-50 fight that we had at Brentwood. Going into it, I think Liam was favourite on paper, and I think a lot of people, probably myself, thought Liam would win. Hats off to Jack. He caught him, and that was it, and he just didn't stop, and he sensed that he was going to win, and he took the victory. And like, build back fight maybe for Liam, and then you probably see Liam in fights back like that with your Jack Martins of this world around that southern area level at light middleweight, because that's what he wants. I think I've got most of them. I haven't got the poster in front of me. I'm bound to have missed someone and they'll have a go at me, but most fights are covered there.
And what's your prediction for fight of the night?
Good question. I knew you were going to ask that. I'm probably going to have to go with the headline. And the reason being, if you look at Billy's last fight, that was to have that on our second show was like, wow. Everybody was like, how did you get that fight? I was like, well, we just did. But the actual fight itself was amazing. So if he brings that A game again, it'll be fantastic. And as you've mentioned, Lucas, with his background, with his sparring, with his brother, the desires there, you're bringing all the fans up from Portsmouth. They will not underestimate Lucas whatsoever. But for anyone who doesn't know about him, watch this space, I think, because like you've mentioned, the noises are there out there that maybe he's as good as Michael, if not better, some people say. So I know they think they're coming to rip the title away, so it looks like a real 50-50, but you'd probably favour Billy just with that experience from that. And Billy's had a couple of tough fights. He's fought Jamie Robinson twice. He's won the Southern area before. I was there, Juan Camaro at York Hall. So I think maybe on paper, Billy's definitely got a bit more experience, but they've both got great gyms and teams behind them. So that's probably the one that will take it. But it could be any of them 50-50s, to be fair, Ash.
What is your prediction for the last fight, the main event? Would you go for Billy then? Is that how you put it?
You're pushing me, which I love, because again, we're looking after both fighters. I know more about Billy, so I've just got to be honest. I know that gym well. I know their manager and trainer really well. So I've watched Billy spar 100 times. I've watched Billy train 100 times, and I've watched him fight live 3 or 4 times. I think he is more experienced on paper, and maybe not with more fights. I think Lucas has probably had 3 or 4 more fights more. I think he's 15-2, Lucas, something like that. And Billy's definitely not had 17 fights, but he's been in them title fights and he's had those wars already. But then saying that, he has had a couple of wars. So will that take his toll on him? Whereas Lucas could be seen as a little bit more fresher. Is Lucas more hungry? It's like getting that belt. It's hard getting it. It's harder keeping it. Billy's got to have the motivation to still go out there and want to win it. But that's never going to be a problem, because if Billy wins this fight, he's got to be banging on the door for a British title. And there's a big difference probably for a fighter's career between English and British. I know the kind of money the fighters are earning at English level, and I know what they get offered at British level. I've not been fortunate enough to have a British title fight yet on our show. But, when you're then on an Eddie show or a Frank show or Sky Sports, the money's a hell of a lot more for them. So it's kind of life-changing, well, for both fighters. But I would err towards Billy being the favourite, but I'm not going to pick one because I think it's either way.
Quality. Well, thank you so much for your time. I look forward to coming to York Hall. I'm excited to see all the fighters on the night. And I'll see you soon, mate.
Top man, Ash. Cheers, mate. We'll see you there.
Take care.
Cheers, mate.